Welcome to Coffee Meets Cloud, where three women in tech come together to share real stories about leadership, life, and everything in between. Join our hosts, Karami McCollum.
Oh, I love the voice note feature, y'all.
Cassandra Parker.
I'm hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit.
And Rachel Rogers.
We have the power to change it.
Your go-to source for candid conversations and unfiltered insights. So, grab your coffee, pull up a chair, and join the chaos.
Welcome back to another episode of Coffee Meets Cloud. We're so happy that you're joining us on your Tuesday, even though we're recording on our ever faithful Friday. This Friday, unfortunately, Karami is focusing on family activities. We hope that she is having the best and relaxing time as she focuses on those. But we're super excited because we have a guest episode. We haven't had a guest episode in a minute, but we are joined by Brooke Brengartner, a globally curious, freshly graduated Salesforce pro who's proving you don't have to wait to start building the life you want. From stepping into the ecosystem as a young professional to mastering account engagement and marketing automation, Brooke shares how saying yes, getting involved, and staying open to the world can accelerate both your career and your growth. Big dreams, bold moves, and plenty of cloud to talk ahead. Welcome to the show, Brooke.
Thanks, Rachel. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And I just want everyone out there to know that Brooke's last name is pronounced Brengartner, not Berngartner, because we've tried 14 times and Rachel can't say it. So I'm just calling it out. It's fine. It is what it is. But welcome, Brooke. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
I can't do intros. I screw them up all the time.
It's okay. From now on, you're off intro duty. It's okay. We got this.
Well, see, it's Karami's fault because she normally does these. So
yes, that's true. That's what you get. It's okay.
Right. When you get the substitute, you get substitute quality. Okay. That's what we're going with. I subbed in. I wasn't first string. I'll admit it. It's good.
Oh, I love it. Well, welcome to the show, Brooke. We are super excited to have you. Everyone out there should know that we met Brooke through our mutual and favorite friend, Scott Stafford, who we absolutely love. Shout out to Scott. So, Scott, thank you so much for sending Brooke our way. We're excited about our conversation today. Our audience just needs to get to know a little bit about you, Brooke. So before we get too deep, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'll ask you our fun get to know you questions.
Sure. Yeah. So I graduated college in December of 2024, and I was in an internship at that point for a couple of years and really just found my way into Salesforce through the different departments that I worked in. And sort of outside of work, I worked on getting my Salesforce certification and eventually got certified. And I've been working full-time as a Salesforce admin since graduating college, still developing in the ecosystem, trying to, I guess, figure out a specialty skill, but marketing has kind of been the heart of what I'm doing this year. And so just really excited to continue growing in the community and meeting other Salesforce friends.
That's awesome. It's kind of we call that an accidental admin. It's how a lot of us, originally started in the Salesforce ecosystem before there were trailblazers, before there was all this cool stuff. It was a need at your company. You had a skill set that you could lean into, right? And you could be globally curious and really learn that. That's super cool.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that the accidental admin still occurs with the days of Trailhead and all the things, because that is definitely how I got into the gig. And here I am almost 20 years later. So it too can happen to you.
Well, see, that's my thing. People ask for career advice. It's like, don't ask me because I Googled CRM when I first started because there was an issue at my company and they were like, we need a CRM. I'm like, cool, let me Google that. And that's how my career started with Salesforce 20 something years ago. I call it the luckiest Google search of my life, which is probably not how you should start your career, right? Probably not a good idea. But yeah, it's really cool to hear that you've got kind of a similar trajectory and just how you're able to lean into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Brooke, I just saw a coffee cup. So that has to mean you're either drinking coffee or tea or some other caffeinated beverage. What is your caffeinated beverage of choice?
I am a cappuccino girl.
Oh, yeah.
I have a machine at home, so I make them every day.
Nice. That is a level of dedication that I aspire to get to.
That is
Very
nice.
good. Sometimes 2
Yeah.
cups, but I try to limit it to 1.
But what is the
No.
size of the cup? Because the size of the cup matters. I mean, I have cups that hold a cup and a half just so that I can convince myself I'm only having 1 cup, but it really is more than a cup.
It varies by the day. I try to stick to the small 8-ounce cups.
There you go. See? That 1 cup can vary. It's like saying I only had 1 glass of wine, but a whole bottle fit in the glass. Like, it's all about perspective.
My cups would be a 32-ounce cup every day. So like, sure, I have 1 cup of coffee. That's fine. Okay. Next, get to know you question. If you had a favorite comfort food, what would it be? Something you could eat every single day for the rest of your life and never get tired of it.
Are we talking desserts or like meal food?
Anything, whatever you like.
Chocolate chip cookies. I feel
Ooh,
like
that's a good
you can
one.
never go wrong with a glass of milk and chocolate chip cookies.
That is definitely a good one.
Yeah.
I feel like dessert is always one of those things that everybody can agree on. You could eat that every day and not get tired of it.
Yep.
I think so. It depends on the chocolate chip cookie because some people really don't know what they're doing. Like it's like everything, right? Like if you get, especially when you get a warm chocolate chip cookie, like, that's one of the like staples at crumble cookies and things like that is that milk chocolate chip cookie. But then sometimes people disguise it as a milk chocolate chip cookie, but it's a semi-sweet dark chocolate cookie. And then that completely changes chocolate chip cookie. Like I know there's a variation there depending on the chocolate you like, but I feel like that could become pretty divisive. If you get a bad chocolate chip cookie, like, I don't know.
All right. Let's go more specific. Let's say Costco chocolate chip cookies.
Oh,
There you
Costco.
go.
They got it all
Got
locked. The
you.
Costco bakery is
Got you.
solid chocolate chip cookie.
I can support
Even
that.
frozen, they taste good.
Yes.
Look,
Yeah.
I like cookie dough. I
do
prefer
too.
cookie dough to the cookie actually being baked,
Yeah.
unless it's still warm, and then which case it's delicious.
Have you tried the ice cream, the Tillamook chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream?
No.
I have not.
Okay. You need to venture in. Tillamook, when you scoop it, like it's always like super easy to scoop. It's not one of those that gets like really hard, but they have really nice cookie dough, like actual
Like
cookie
chunks.
dough chunks in the ice cream. So it's definitely a go-to if
That
you
sounds
need
really
something a
good.
little bit different. Yeah.
Okay.
Would
I'm not
definitely
one of those
be.
people that's afraid of eggs, so I'll eat the ones that say on the package, "Do not eat raw." I'm like, you can't tell me anything. I'm going to eat that
I'm
if I want
guilty of
to.
it too.
Yeah,
I feel like
fine.
it's just building up your tolerance. Like you're gonna get sick with something. Just soon be something you like.
I agree. I mean, The
Right.
Rock eats like raw eggs. Just so, what's a little cookie dough gonna hurt? It's fine.
I know. You just said raw eggs, and that reminded me of a thing I saw for Easter since Easter's coming up. I know it seems forever away, but we are in the Lenten season where you take Easter eggs, the plastic ones, right? You fill them with orange juice. You then freeze them. And then on Easter morning, you have Easter mimosas because you have the frozen little egg-shaped orange juices in your, champagne
go.
of choice or Prosecco. So
Super
shout out
cute.
Easter tips. Get your pre-planning done. Go get you some plastic Easter eggs, not for the kiddos, for yourself. Cut a little hole in the top, fill them up, put them in the freezer. You got this.
This might be $1 million idea.
I'm just full of those today. I can't do intros, but I can do $1 million ideas. We all have our skill sets, right?
We all have our things.
Yeah. And speaking about skill sets, Brooke, one of the things that when we talk about marketing cloud account engagement, I feel like for the Salesforce community, it depends on the side of Salesforce that you're on, right? Like how much you're actually exposed to the marketing world. There's a lot of customers that don't have it. There's some customers that's all they have and they don't have actual Salesforce CRM. So it can be a little bit of kind of nuance. But what is something that no one tells you before implementing marketing cloud account engagement? Just something that, if people only knew this thing, especially if they're starting to bridge into that gap of wanting to get into the marketing cloud account engagement space.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I realized was that it is a not very well documented process. When our company was shifting into it, we were advised to hire a team or have a Salesforce team kind of help us transition into it. At the time, we weren't really thinking we were in need of that, and so I managed the implementation on my own. And what I found was that outside of the training guide, there are a lot of missing pieces. And I think we sort of find that a lot in the Salesforce world, that sometimes like the Trailhead modules will make it seem very easy because their orgs are already configured in the background. But those pieces were missing, and it ended up, it was sort of a surprise to find that there were multiple steps that weren't on the implementation guide. But overall, I think the flexibility to just have like a custom setup was really helpful for us, but it took a lot longer than expected.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, Marketing Cloud is one of those products that used to be Exact Target. So it's been around a hot minute, and you would think that there would be a lot of documentation on it that would really help you. I understand products like Agent Force when we were implementing that. There's a lot that's not documented, but that's also new, right? And I think in the marketing space too, the other thing that's tricky is what SKUs do you have? So
Yeah.
sometimes, you don't know you need the personalization SKU to actually activate this part of setup, but if you don't have that, and so there's a level of complexity with marketing that's also a contractual complexity. So let's assume you've got a good implementation partner, but that contractual complexity really adds an element to setup that I think is very different than other products inside of Salesforce.
Right. Yeah, and there's a lot of very technical IT aspects of it, like domain keys that I was not ready to dive into. And it really took getting a lot of hands-on from our internal teams to help get the processes going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marketing Cloud account engagement, one of the many Salesforce rebrands of names. We were just talking about this the other day, right? It used to be Pardot. So our company, my company used to use Pardot. We made the jump to Marketing Cloud. And I will tell you, it was not simple. They'd say, oh, it's easy. You can just turn it on and do. No, that's absolutely incorrect statements. So, do you have an opinion, since I don't know how familiar you are with the marketing cloud space versus account engagement, but do you have an opinion on best use cases for one versus the other? I mean, I have thoughts, but do you have kind of thoughts about the way that you would utilize those?
Yeah, so I'm not too educated on Marketing Cloud, but just from some like initial conversations, it definitely seems like Marketing Cloud could be used as more of like a customized journey that your users can take. Right now, everything is automated but manual to the extent of how we control our lists, the frequency that our users are receiving emails. And it seems like Marketing Cloud has some more ability for maybe a higher engagement customer to receive a higher frequency of emails and really configure that and be a little bit more hands off. I hope that it works that way.
It does.
I think, yeah, that's my assumption from what I've read. But yeah, definitely account engagement requires a little bit more hands-on each day.
Yeah, it does. And it's, it's more of you're dipping your toe into the marketing account engagement world. You want to send emails to your customers. You want to keep that information in sync with your CRM data. Marketing Cloud is a little bit more, okay, you have all that in place. You want to put your customers on a journey or in a drip campaign, those kind of things. So, but yeah, it's a great place to start, because if you understand all of that, then if you get into Marketing Cloud, it's a whole new world with all the additional things you can add on top of it.
Yeah. And it seems like even like integrating Data Cloud into that, just everything is at your fingertips.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, in Data Cloud, you got to be careful with, there's Data Cloud and there's Data Cloud One. And again, this is one of those, they're not very specific with you on what is the most appropriate for your solution. And then when you have to go and switch and make a migration, you then find out, well, anything you put in the original instance, your instance is going to be down for a minimum of 3 days. So then what do you do? Because you have active production activities potentially running off of those activities. And so it's very much, when you think about the Salesforce ecosystem, I kind of relate it back to your career, right? And when you think about all the options and opportunities you have from a career perspective and all the trade-offs that come with those options and opportunities. So when you're kind of looking at your career, you're just starting out, you happen to fall into Salesforce, right? You happen to fall into this marketing activity. You're looking to branch out. You're looking to understand a little bit more about the community and kind of how you can engage and how you can fit in. How are you approaching that? Like, how are you thinking about the technology is one thing, but really, how are you kind of thinking about your career and where you might want to go?
Yeah. And so in our intro, we talked about having sort of a global perspective. Something that has been really important to me throughout college and getting into my career is traveling international places or traveling around the United States to really introduce myself to different people, and outside of just having personal travel, really getting to know what a business culture is like elsewhere. And so throughout college, I studied abroad in Australia, and during that time, I tried to stay connected in the Salesforce ecosystem there. I never really found too many like tech groups there, but I did continue studying for my certification and sort of just like keeping my eye out for companies while I was there. And then coming back to the States, I ended up joining a women in tech group in my hometown. And so sort of stayed more connected there, staying connected with Scott and other friends in the ecosystem. He's really introduced me to a lot of people. I just became a part of his Rise with Voice bootcamp. So all of those things combined have just been sort of a networking. And it's not even networking to find a different job. It's more so, how do I expand my skill set to do my best job right now? And so it's really just every day trying to focus on at least a little bit of personal development so that I can be maximizing what I'm doing in the ecosystem.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, right? When you network, it's not necessarily about finding your next career opportunity.
Right.
It's about finding people you can bounce ideas off of and understanding different perspectives. I always say, when you work at any company, right, you alone do not represent your customer base. So if you try to do it by yourself, you're going to get it wrong. It's all about that community you have that you can bounce ideas off of that say like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And two, knowing that you don't know it all, right? None of us do. When I started in Houston in the Salesforce ecosystem, there was no user group. And so there was then like a small pot of people that would meet. So took over that user group and really started just bringing people together to say, what are you doing in Salesforce? And this was all before Trailhead existed, right? And so it was a way to kind of share learnings and opportunities and thought processes. And to your point, getting to learn different businesses. Every industry is different, but they're all the same, right? They all have customers. They all need to meet their customers where they're at in order to be able to sell products, to pay people, to move the economy forward, right? So that kind of perspective of how you get engaged is very important. And you mentioned partnering with Scott on Rise with Voice. Can you tell people a little bit about what Rise with Voice is?
Yeah, so Rise with Voice is, I think the best way to describe it is it's a community of people just showing up to be themselves. It's everybody wants to advance their personal skills in their career, but everyone's really there to learn how to like really share their voice and just be authentic. It's an empowering space, and Scott and his team have done a really great job of just making it a comfortable environment so that everybody has the opportunity to speak up and share what their goals are and not really have to fear about like an interviewing type of pressure.
Oh, that's really good. I think it's so funny that you're talking about your career path and the way that you're, approaching your career and just meeting people and seeing where that takes you. I, for one, can say in years of this ecosystem that all the different places that I have been and all the different people that I've met have shaped who I am today as a leader, as a woman in technology. Definitely, we are big proponents of being involved in those local groups, especially your women in tech groups. Some of the, best relationships I've ever made are from people that I've met at those networking events, and people that we don't work together, right? That you can just call and say, hey, I'm struggling in this particular area, whether it's work or whether it's personal or whether it's, hey, I'm thinking about making this career change. I just need someone on the outside to talk to, talk to that person that you respect and that you kind of align yourself with those ideals. So it's awesome that Scott started this group and that you're involved in it and you can kind of reach out and get your career started, because I didn't get there for years. I was very isolated in just my little world, for a really long time. So kudos to you for putting yourself out there and starting your career in such a way that will allow you, who knows where you'll end up 10 years from now. We'll have to check back in 10 years and see what you're doing.
Thank you. No, it's really a big thanks to Scott and people like you guys that just give the opportunity. I think that's something that's been really important to me entering the ecosystem, is just being given the chance to try, because the skill sets are learned. Everything in the ecosystem can be learned, and it's really just asking and not being afraid to receive a no. But I think for the most part, I found that most people say yes and they're willing to let you try.
Yeah. And I think the important thing too is remembering that when you do get 2 years down your journey of helping those that are just starting their journey, right? And making that time and space. I think that's always the flip side of this. I think you enter into these journeys and you have all this time and you have all these things, right? But then as you progress, that time becomes less and less. And as your life changes, right? We talk a lot about sometimes, today I may want to go be the CEO of a company, but tomorrow, something happens with my kiddo and I want to take a step back and I want to prioritize her, right? In that aspect, right? Or heck, I need to prioritize me, right? Because I didn't leave enough space for me in the equation. But remembering that the community that helped you get where you are, there is a responsibility back to that community to help the next person, right? And to make sure that we are continually bringing people up. Not just, we love women in tech, and of course we want all the females to succeed, but just in general, right? It's the collective community that really helps bring people where they are. And that's why we try to make this space available. You said one thing about Rise with Voice that I thought was really interesting about the authenticity, right? And authenticity can get complicated, right? Because when I bring my authentic self and you bring your authentic self, we may realize we clash, right? And that there might not be. Have you encountered anything like that recently where you've had to, maybe you have some techniques or tips that you kind of use that maybe other people can learn from, of how when you have an authentic clash, maybe some things to de-escalate?
Yeah, so I don't think I've encountered it too much. I think maybe with the in-person meetups, you get a little bit of clash just based on sometimes people show up expecting to receive an outcome, and people are there for different reasons. There might be somebody there that's interested in development and somebody else just wants to be in the marketing side. And I think sometimes there would be like some communication where you're trying to network and you want to make this connection, but it's just not a fit. I think the best thing that I've realized our group leader would do is just facilitate open communication and just allow people to share their goals. And then once everybody has shared their interests or opinions, they kind of settle on just like a broad group consensus. But yeah, I guess for the most part, I haven't really received too much like direct clash on that.
Give it time.
Yeah.
It always happens at some point, but it sounds like you've got that good outlook on it. So hopefully you won't be met with too much resistance.
I hope not.
I do have a question a little bit. I spent a lot of my life in sales operations, and before I even got into the Salesforce ecosystem. But something that you mentioned to us when we were originally talking to you about getting sales to trust account engagement data, I find sales are such a different breed of human. They're so interesting in the way that they think and the way that they perform their, daily activities, whether inside of Salesforce or outside or anywhere else. So can you kind of like delve a little bit into your thoughts about how to get sales to actually trust your account engagement data?
Yeah, so I have dealt with building dashboards and putting time into dashboards and reports and highly customized screens that they won't look at. And I don't blame them. I think it's really just you build something thinking that you know what they need, but you're not in their shoes. So you don't see what the like high actionable items are for them. And so I think that's something we're experimenting with even in the AI space is like we have these qualified leads or these like insights that we want to get to you, and they are high priority, time sensitive, but how do we deliver them in a way that you're actually going to receive that information? Because if you start with a base of just overloading information, they start to not trust that you're giving them valuable information. And so I think like in the AI space, we're starting to experiment with how can we just put this into plain language and be like, you need to go and ask your customer this. Instead of delivering this like data point that they're so used to seeing, we're trying to find a way to like just change the look of it and have more of a conversation with them. But yeah, alongside that, I guess too, even with marketing, like the numbers are proof for themselves. And I think the initial implementation of account engagement is very scary because you send out your first round of emails and it's not going into your main inbox. You're not getting the response rates that you want. And so it takes some time to build that trust layer.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It's any relationship, right? And I think that's when you're in your career and you're having to communicate with mass groups of people, right? There's different things. There's different people learn different ways. So not every communication you make is going to resonate with every person. And so how do you tailor that so that, you think plain language is one thing, right? But that may mean something totally different to somebody else. So how do you tune those AI models? I'm interested, you said that it would present information for them to take specific actions, but are you guys actually looking at it automatically taking those actions? Because I know that's been an issue with sales of like, don't talk to my customer, right? But are you guys looking at that side of it too?
No, so it's a fine line. I think there's certain things that you can automate. If it's like account specific marketing, like something about what a customer's actually already ordered, then it's a little bit of a different, maybe you can reach out directly to them. But for the most part, I think we still want our sellers taking ownership of their interactions. There's definitely conversation about expanding that. And I think that's what AI has opened up the conversation to, is like, well, how do we get more impressions? But at the same time, I think you have to realize that we still support AI. Like you can't let AI run on its own. And I think it can have a pretty negative effect if you just let it start producing all of those interactions.
100%. 100%. And not everybody trusts AI. Everybody's on a different model. So you may actually lose customers.
Exactly.
Well, and you have to govern it. I mean, to your point, we just had this conversation on the podcast last week. If you don't govern it, it could go rogue. And then what is your brand looking like out there if your AI agent is just telling someone something crazy? And then it's okay, all of a sudden you're a joke in the marketplace and where you were trying to be helpful. So it's definitely something you have to govern for sure.
Well, and it can definitely be biased as well, right? So you've got to make sure your AI is only as good as your current data set. And so if your current data set is only attracting your traditional customers, but your market is shifting, that's typically where your sales rep knows, hey, the market's shifting. Like I see these things, I see these trends, right? Which will eventually feed into the AI model. But that's not what the AI model has, right? So it's very important to keep that human connection, not just governing the AI, but getting in front of the data set that's about to hit the AI, right? And how you kind of translate that back, especially in marketing, because your job in marketing is to predict the market shift, right? And to predict the market change. And that's hard if all you're doing is relying on AI, which has your traditional data in it.
Absolutely. So what is one thing that no one tells you before implementing Marketing Cloud engagement? At least one thing, something that you wish you'd have known before.
I love how you asked the question I asked at the beginning of the podcast. This is how our Friday is going.
I'm tired, y'all. It's
I
been a
know.
long day.
Look, okay. So for the record,
That's a wrong
on this
question.
podcast episode, all right, we're struggling. It's Friday. It's been a long week, but I think this is real life. And if you thought that this podcast was heavily scripted, you are learning it is not.
At
And
all.
no, I mean, we had some questions. Obviously, we can't even like I can't say the name
I
right.
read the wrong question. That's what I did.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Brooke, thank you for joining us on the chaos of this podcast because it's real
Clearly,
life.
no, what this is clearly Karamie's the one that keeps us in check. And without Karamie here, we are struggling because she is our organized human that keeps us all in check. Karamie, we love you. We miss you.
We all know our roles, right? And I think, one thing, Brooke, as you're looking at your career and you're looking at roles, leadership isn't for everybody. Being a doer forever isn't for everybody, right? Where do you kind of feel your North Star is? Do you feel your North Star is more in a leadership track, more in an individual contributor track, more somewhere in the middle where maybe you're like you really want to explore mentoring, not the full burden of leadership? What's kind of your thought process right now as you're starting your career out?
Yeah, I think I'm still sort of on the track of wanting to be in leadership at some point. I'm really enjoying the technical side of it right now. I think I don't want to lose the hands-on work because I really love it. And I think anybody else in the Salesforce ecosystem would also admit that once you start to learn a new specialty in the system, it's very exciting. And it sort of feels like a college certification in a way, like you're working towards something and it's exciting to continue learning it. And I think there's still a lot more for me to learn in the system. So I'm really enjoying that right now, but I think down the line, I would like to be in more of a leadership role.
One thing,
I think that's important. Hang on, before you go there, Rachel. I think that's important for people to realize. I feel like in my career, because I came from a technical background at first, right? I understood how the system worked. I actually put my hands on the keyboard and did the work. I feel like when I did get into a leadership role, I got a lot more respect and I had a lot more confidence in what I was going out and basically selling. Because let's be honest, when you get into leadership, a lot of your role becomes going out and talking to other business partners and selling them on the features that you want to put into the system and, getting them to adopt your technology. So I think that kudos to you for coming at your career from that perspective, because I do think if you do want to get into leadership in the future, you definitely will have a leg up because you've understand how fundamentally the system works. So good job.
I completely agree with that. I think the one point to add is that when you get in leadership, you can't stop your technical skill set. So it'll get you kudos at first. But if you don't do the release exams, if you don't continue your trailhead, like one of my big things with my team, I won't ask you to do anything I wouldn't do. So if I'm going to ask you to take a training, I've already taken it. I've already made sure that it's the right training, the right course. I've already looked at the feature, understood how, this would help us or hurt us when the release notes come out. But I think you have to be intentional about building that time in, because it's very easy when you're starting out and you are the technical person because you have to know, right? It's a lot harder when you're in leadership because you kind of start to drift away. And it's important to remember in your career to ground yourself back of if you really want to maintain, Salesforce changes every quarter, right? If Salesforce is changing every quarter and you are not changing every quarter, you are stale in the industry, you're stale in your skill set, and eventually somebody's going to replace you because somebody is going to be more hungry and they are going to go and learn the things. So I think definitely don't lose that. And remember, as you're going, to build that time in. So you've got to build time into the community, right? You've got to build time in to make sure that you keep your technical expertise and you keep that competitive edge, because you talked earlier about wanting to know what your specific skill set was, wanting to really be able to hone in. That could become your master key, right? Your master key could be, not only can I be a leader, which you start with mentorship opportunities, right? So just like Scott is having this mentorship opportunity with you having a mentorship opportunity with someone else will prepare you for that leadership journey. but also picking what technical flavor you want. And one thing I would encourage you to do, Marketing Cloud is great, account engagement is great, but go learn a little bit about regular Salesforce, right? And more of the service side and the sales side to connect those activities, because the thing that a lot of people can't do in the ecosystem is the cross map.
Yeah.
And that's where the career is, in the cross map versus in an individual silo. An individual silo will get you technical expertise. That'll be great. You'll have a limited career path. The cross map is where you can unlock any opportunity you want in the ecosystem.
Great
Awesome.
career advice for Brooke.
Yeah, I love that.
And anybody else listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. It only costs you $3.45. You're welcome.
What's your
I don't know.
random dollar value?
Dude, it's Friday. I don't know. I originally thought maybe that's how much a Starbucks costs, and then I quickly realized that's not how much a Starbucks costs. So there's that for today on your Friday. Random fact.
Ooh, there's a good question. What's your favorite? This is totally random and off topic, but here we are on Friday. It's fine. What's your favorite Starbucks order, or what is your Starbucks order? Or do you not like Starbucks and you like to go somewhere else when you want a fancy frou-frou coffee?
I'm not a Starbucks person.
Okay.
I'm like a support local. There's a little place close to my house, and I always will go and get an almond milk latte, and that's all I get. It's so good. So
I love local too. When you got a really good local shop, we used to have this really good breakfast shop that had good tea. I'm a tea drinker, not a coffee drinker, but they had really good tea lattes, and they would do like these superfood breakfast bowls. So 100% local. Unfortunately, we don't have any good local anymore. We just have chains. So here we are.
I have a great local one, and I don't get there enough. I need to start working on Friday mornings from that coffee shop because I love that place. The vibe is cool. The coffee's great. They've got food. I need to start.
Is that the one with all the music? When you go, is that the music one? Cassandra goes to some of these, and like you're talking to her on the phone, and all you hear is this music blaring from this coffee shop. It's really good music. But like
this one's not. This one's more chill because I've worked from there before. So this one's not that bad. But I do have another one that's got a lot of music.
But
and there's a new one in the next town over. There's a new one that I've never been to. So I'm going to check that out. Review. They're going to start a coffee corner review of local coffee shops. And this is Brooke's coffee corner review because she is supporting local. And I love that.
That is amazing. Yes.
Yep.
That really is. Well, unfortunately, on this episode of Chaos, and thank you, Brooke, for joining us, we are officially coming to an end. You may be thankful, you may be wanting more, and we hope you join us again. But with that, Cassandra's going to attempt to take us home because Karami left us again. Thank you, Karami. Hope you're having a good time. Cassandra?
Yes, thank you. First of all, to Brooke for joining us for the Chaos. I'm so thankful that you did. Thankful that Scott introduced us. Thanks to everyone out there for listening. You know the drill. Go follow us on social. We're at Coffee Meets Cloud on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram. We have our website, coffeemeetscloud.com, and we are on YouTube. So please look us up, like, subscribe, and join us next time for more coffee and chaos and tech talk. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Bye.